Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to the Lunch Line, episode 6. As I have been dying to get this video out for at least 2 weeks, but there's just been so much content and news articles and updates and just all these things. So those kind of got more priority before getting around to another Lunch Line episode. So if you are newer to the Lunch Line episodes, it's mostly me rambling about various things, and also some updates that I need to be giving here as well. So basically, I'm back to work now. I had my last week of vacation just over a week ago, so the whole of last week I worked, and kind of good to get back into the rhythm of that, so to speak. But yeah, that's all going really good. But the main thing that I really wanted to talk about in today's video, I mean, there's several things. And that is my new PC build. It's finished. It's done. Yay, rejoicing. Man, that was a story and a half. So for those of you who may be newer, because I know we have some new people subscribed, basically, since I guess it's been over a year and a half, I've probably been doing researching on learning how to build a new PC, this, that, and the other. But then starting in, it's October, November of 2023, I started purchasing PC components. And what I did is I spread my build out in terms of the cost over 9 months. I don't know, let's just say I was October to June. Maybe you could even argue, say July. I spread the cost out, so it wouldn't be like this massive financial burden trying to do it all in one go. So instead, what I did is just spread the cost out, and I got a lot of things on sales. I don't know. I'd have to look to see how much it cost me for this PC build, and I don't want to just randomly throw out a number. But I know I did save a considerable amount of money with the sales and this, that, and the other that I was doing. So basically, what had happened was several weeks ago, I think I posted in Discord and I shared on YouTube that I was at a roadblock with my PC. I could not get the PC to boot out of BIOS. I was stuck in BIOS. I had a really long day with work today, so I had to use a ton of mental energy. So I'm trying to remember words right now. But I was stuck in BIOS. I couldn't get out of BIOS. I didn't know what was wrong. I tried to get some local friends. I had a friend. He's like, hey, I know this guy. Maybe he can help you. And then what I was wanting, because I tried so many things in the obvious, what could be possible errors, was just to have someone come over and help me. Because I was certain that it's probably something FlimsyLunchTray am doing that's dumb, stupid. I missed on something, and I'm really trying to figure out what that is. But I would just really appreciate, it's my first PC I've ever built, someone to come over and show me, look through and just see what I did wrong, okay? And boy, was the mistake so it's so bad. It's so painfully, obviously bad, okay? In my defense, it was my first time building a PC, and also the two videos I had watched on building a PC were rather vague on this part. So basically, when you are, in case you are new, you've never built a PC yourself, when you have compiled all the parts, you get everything together, you go into BIOS, your computer needs to be able to have the information what type of OS, operating software, in this case Windows. It needs to be able to have an operating software ready to go on configuring your boot, priority number 1, to be able to launch into the Windows software, to which then you can get out of the BIOS and then start setting the basic things up. And then you go what would be like a desktop screen after you selected multiple options like language and certain preferences. Do you want to pull things off your old PC onto your new PC, this, that, and the other. And then you get into the PC, and then you still have to actually buy the licenses or license or product of Windows. Right, whether you do that through the Microsoft Store, whatever. And so to do that, what you do is you go on Windows website, and you download this operating software onto the USB stick, and ideally you want at least, I think they say like an 8 gigabyte USB stick, and then you plug that into the back of your PC or whatever, and then you launch it. And once you've gotten through BIOS, and then you make sure that your boot priority number one is that Windows operating software, the USB stick, then it'll launch you into the Windows operating software, right? Okay, so the two videos I watched said download this file onto a USB stick, clear it, configure it, and how configure the USB stick. I don't remember what it's called, or that it will function as so, right? So I downloaded that file onto my USB stick. I configured the USB stick in the proper setting. I don't know if it already was or what, and nothing was happening. Okay. And so I was talking with my friend. I was actually talking with my clan commander on World of Warships, Doom. Him and I were having a conversation, and then I got to thinking, because I saw this third video that got the hamsters moving in Flimsy's lunch tray's head, and then it hit me. Apparently, what these other two videos I watched that did not cover, beyond them just saying download this file on USB stick and just stick it in your PC, was that you are also, after you download the file onto your USB stick, you have to then launch said file on your USB stick, so then it then configures and sets itself up, so when you have plugged it into your motherboard or your PC and you launch it, it has everything set up and it knows to launch into Windows operating software, right? I had just downloaded the file. That's all I did. I didn't configure, I didn't run the software on the USB stick before putting it into my new PC, because you have to do it like on a laptop or an old PC before putting a new PC, okay? Yeah, I felt really dumb after that. But it was really annoying, because it's like I did watch these two videos, and like they're well-known like PC guys, and they didn't say anything about running that file after you download the file on USB stick to run it. So that it sets up the USB stick, it has all the files, so then it tells the motherboard what it needs to do when you boot it out, priority number one. Yeah. So it was a very, like, in the midst of it, I was so stressed, man. I was so stressed. I was like, I don't know what's going on. It's giving me all these different codes off the motherboard. It's not sticking with the one code. What have I done wrong? I spent all this money over 9-10 months. And I can't get this to work. And yeah, it's just kind of those first hoops of jumping through and building building my first PC ever. So I learned a lot. I definitely learned a lot. And now that I've got it running and going again, like, oh yeah, whenever the time comes to build my next PC, like, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna build it myself. I learned so much along the way. I only made a few minor errors when I was buying the parts and stuff. But overall, I'm really, really pleased with it. And if I haven't already, I'll put pictures here on the video. You can see what it looks like, and you can see my newer setup. Because basically I'm in the process, I've got most everything moved off my old PC onto the new PC, which has been really great. I didn't have to, like the recording software I use, Filmora, like Wondershare, so I just kind of moved it off my old PC onto this PC. It's I have like a lifetime, or I bought a one product. I don't spend the money every month or every year for a license to get all the latest, newest, updated stuff. But they still let me have the updates. And then I moved over my like home student office for Word, Excel, all that stuff over. But I love this PC. It's been really great so far. Really happy so far with Lian Lee's equipment. Between the cooler that I have, the fans, the SLINF fans, infinity fan mirrors, I have it right here. My case is the Lian Lee 011 Dynamic Evo ATX mid-tower case, and you can open up the description on this video and you can see my entire custom build that I did in obtaining all the parts. In addition, you can see the other things not related to the PC that I currently have, because now as of last month in July, I finally, after wanting one for a year, I have a second monitor. I got another Asus monitor, and it is so great to have two monitors. Like, I can never do without, again, having the two, which means a lot of things. And in particular, it means that Twitch streaming is actually going to become a lot easier for me, you know, when I do Twitch stream. Because what I had to do previously was... So, and how are the apartment, which I'll talk about the house hunting in a minute, is set up. I have like a obscenely long Ethernet cable that runs from where our internet modem is set up in this apartment all the way back to what's our guest bedroom. This is where my office, my gaming station is. And if I do work from home, it's multifaceted room. It's where I do all that work, right? So this Ethernet cable is super long, right? So then I don't have another Ethernet cable running. So what I had to do is I'd have to set up my laptop to see chat, to moderate chat while I was playing. Not that there's a ton of chat, but at least, you know, I want to have a watchful eye. I want to interact with you all, right? And then I had to connect this Wi-Fi booster. I don't know what the proper term for it is, but it's a cable and it's kind of a tower, and I had to connect that to the laptop, and then I had to move like my music stand over because like I play guitar and stuff, and then leave my door open. I couldn't shut my door because otherwise it would disrupt the Wi-Fi signal too much and it'd be too weak, and I wouldn't have a clear feed on the stream. And then so Mrs. Flimsy couldn't be as loud if she's like wanting to watch a movie or she's working with her business stuff or whatever. So I was like really annoying and really frustrating because I had to go through all these hoops, you know, and stuff. So it's just really annoying. So that was kind of the big thing that one of the big barriers to me wanting to stream on Twitch in the first place, just of having set that all up. And then my older PC, because like it has a GTX 1060 Ti on it, and it was just taking up so much like power of between the central processing unit and the graphics card. And I just really, you know, it's already 5 years. I mean, it's not bad, but 5 years on that older PC, and I just wasn't really feeling confident because of how loud it would run. How you could hear the fan in the background. If you listen to some of my older videos, like I don't know, videos from a couple weeks ago, you could probably sometimes you could hear my fan HyperX microphone picking up the fans from my old PC. Now the new PC, because it's like a 360 liquid AI cooler, it's so quiet. Even when I'm playing the game, it doesn't like ramp up because it's able to keep the CPU and everything so quiet. So it's just really great for sound recording. And I guess one of the next things is I want to get a boom mic so I get my microphone more away from my keyboard when I got a mechanical keyboard. It's really clicky, which isn't great for Twitch streaming, which I didn't know I was going to be doing when I first bought it. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten a different keyboard. But I've had it for almost 5 years now. I still like it. It's a good keyboard. So it makes Twitch streaming much easier between having the second monitor without all the pain of the setup and then just having a new PC that's really efficient with the large cooler I have, the fans I have, and then my graphics card. Was it 4060? Yeah, 4060 Ti. So Twitch streaming. Yeah, I need to figure that out because I would like to start maybe at least once a week Twitch streaming, and I'm curious for you guys to put in the comments when, and I need to do a poll on it, like what day of the week would maybe be the best, would be the most popular, right? Would that be a Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night? You know, I don't know. So yeah, any feedback on that would be good, but I need to do some polls and try to figure that out. You know, part of the thing is I do play World of Warships almost every evening for about an hour and a half, 2 hours right now. And it's most of the time I'm just chilling out. And I think I feel like I need to talk a lot when I'm streaming on Twitch because you don't want it to be dull, but maybe I don't need to. Like I mentally sack myself out too much and then I don't end up streaming as much, or I'm just chilling with my clan commander and some other people, and we talk about a wide variety of topics. Mostly all good, but then like some of it's like, you know, whether it's talking about more divisive topics, you know, Twitch isn't the best place to do that in terms of a World of Warship stream. So yeah, whatever on that. But House hunting. House hunting. So that has been a pain, an immense pain. If you think as an international, moving from another country to come buy a house in Norway is easy, no. No, not at all. Not at all. It has been literally pain in the butt without cussing. Like, huge pain. Yeah, so I won't go into like hardcore detail, but I'll try to give a brief summary because I want to talk about like my parents. They're coming here to Norway pretty soon. Essentially, how I'm from America. I'm from Indiana, and moved to Norway back in 2020. So Swims and I have been renting it's a really great apartment, and our landlord has been the bomb. Like, I can't say enough of how great he's been to us. He's treated us so kind. He's the most wonderful landlord we ever have. So I have ever had. So it makes it really difficult to like just leave because he's just such a great guy. But you know, you're renting. You're not paying into like a loan for a house to buy, and you know, be able to kind of do your own things that you want to be able to do. This, that, and the other. So the hope was to like in June to buy a place, and we had found was it June or was it beginning of July? We found an amazing property. Amazing. I think this was back in June, actually. And so we were, what you have to do here in Norway, how the system told us, I went to a meeting with our local municipality, like all you need to know about buying a house, which was a complete farce because they left out like a ton of crucial information I didn't know. Essentially, you can get a loan for 5 times your annual salary. So let's say, I'll just use an easy number. Let's say you make $50,000 a year. Well, you can get a loan up to $250,000, right? 5 times your annual salary. And in Norway, it's quite common, you know, both the husband and the wife are working. It's actually really frowned upon if the wife is not working, if it's only the man working. Mrs. Flimsy had that for a while before she kind of got her business going, but it was fine. It was COVID time, like no stress there. So it's really frowned upon if both the husband and wife are not working, and also with like the socialism style here, it's like, you know, you want to contribute to the betterment of welfare of your society, the tax system, all this, that, and the other. Totally understand that. And then we have no, you know, I will tell you, you guys, you know, we have no debt. We don't have any kids yet. So if you have a kid, they consider it dependent, and they'll like hardcore knock off, like I think per child. I had a Norwegian friend at work tell me this other day, like they'll take off about what would it be, $100,000. Well, it'd be about $90,000 from your loan if you have one child, because they consider that child a financial dependent. You know, and all this stuff. They have these calculators that they put in, like this is what should be your cost of living, and this is how much you can afford with your loan, because the government has a lot of pressure basically on the Norwegian banks to not give a loan out to someone who might default on the loan. Like I was talking to this financial advisor, and I think he told me like 0.0001%. It was some obscenely low percentage, and I'm not kidding you. He said 0.00. He at least got 2 zeros after the decimal point. People here in Norway default on their loans. So like you're talking about maybe between 10 and 1,000 people or something like that. Because if they default on their loan, you as a consumer, then that's the bank. It falls on the bank. The government's like, why did you loan this money out to these people when you know they couldn't afford the loan? This, that, or whatever. You know, life circumstances change, of course, right? So you can get a loan of 5 times your annual salary. And then we had the down payment, which if you're under 34, you only have to have a 15% down payment. If you're 34 or older, you have to have a 25% down payment. That's a complete change from US. And then the other thing I recently found out is because I'm on a skilled workers visa, if you don't have at least a permanent residency or citizenship, you have to put 25% down, even if you're underneath 34, which I didn't know that. But I have already applied for permanent residency, and I turned my documents into the police like next week, and then hopefully like September I hear back, which means that we only have to have 15% down in buying a property. So that's basically all blew up in our face right when we were getting this. You apply for, it's kind of like financial proof, and then the bank will tell you we can loan you this much money. So we did that. Mrs. Flimsy is making a monthly salary. It's not a high monthly salary with the business right now, but she is making a little something, right? So we went to this house viewing. It's the bomb. The housing market sells really fast. So it's like noon the next day. Basically need to get our offer in, whatever. My financial advisor at our bank not calling me back. I'm like, what's going on? She's only emailing, texting me. I'm asking her to call me. She won't call me. I do speak some Norwegian as well. So I was really agitated by that. And then they're like, oh yeah, we can only loan you up to like 60%. We can't loan you the full 100%. And she wouldn't tell me why. Like, I kid you not. I'm like, wait, the meetings I went to with your municipality, local government said, and she didn't tell you anything about me having to actually have 25% down because didn't have permanent residency. I'm like, yo, like, what's going on? Like, I should be able to make a bid on this house and stuff. And it's like, oh, so when I pressed her, she told me about this calculator that the banks use here in Norway, and that they were considering Mrs. Flimsy as a dependent off my salary, which essentially brought my salary down, or the amount of loan they give me down $90,000, and a place, this is the fourth largest city in Norway, where most people buy like the kind of townhouses, or you buy like apartments, permanent apartments, right? And those would easily cost you, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. I mean, some townhouses here sell for like 600, 700,000 US dollars, and we want like a standalone home. In Norwegian, they call it en bolig. So we can kind of have a business have a business. Mrs. Flimsy, she's in the arts, so we're like wanting like a garage or a small barn or something, renovate. And those prices for something like that starts off essentially on the low end. Here in the region of, I live in the region of Stavanger, and not in the city limits of Stavanger. Couldn't find a standalone home with like a garage or barn, unless it was absolute garbage. But that would be very improbable. You'd have to spend like $500,000, $600,000 or more to get something like that in the city limits of Stavanger easily, if not 700, 800, or 900,000 US dollars. But if you move more outside the city limits of Stavanger, and there's like these other towns like Randaberg, Sola, Sandes, then the prices start dropping much more considerable. So we were looking like more out in those regions. Found this beautiful property and all stuff, and then completely blew up in our face. So we immediately went to another bank to be like, some friends were like, hey, go to a different bank, see if they offer you more. This other bank was like, we won't even consider Mrs. Flimsy's salary. We'll only consider yours. And rather than, this other bank, they offered you 60% of that 5 times your annual salary. This other bank was like, we're going to offer you 45% of 5 times your annual salary. It's like, dude, it's absolutely crushing and stuff. So we're we're in the midst of like figuring that all out right now, but we put a pause on the house hunting because basically now I'm just waiting to get my permanent residency back. Or hopefully it's approved. Only one of us needs it because the bank can make a case for us as long as one of us, because you're considered a higher risk if you don't have permanent residency or citizenship. Because if we got a house like now, it's a skilled workers visa or whatever, this is on a family visa, then we could just basically hop the country and be like, haha, yours to deal with bank and stuff, and there's not as much legal ramifications, I guess, than them pursuing us compared to if we had a permanent residency or citizenship, dual citizenship, if I understand right. So this third bank we approached in Norway, it's the Danske Bank, it's DNB, or like DNB. We're looking to do our home loan with them because I talked with this awesome guy there named Christopher. He was the bomb. Like, he went out of his way to explain things, so helpful. So we're going to do our home loan with them. So basically he's like, yeah, wait till your permanent residency comes through and then we can have a conversation, which was funny because I told him, he is a good guy, really good sport. I think he was a couple years younger than me. I'm 31, if I remember right off the top of my head. Yeah, 31. I told him I didn't like their calculator system here in Norway. I thought it was a bit... it's rather strict with the regulation system here and stuff like that, but I feel like your calculator system is unrealistic, And so he was asking more about Mrs. Flimsy and I's economical situation and, how much I pay for rent and stuff. And based off my income, monthly income and annual income. He's like, wow, well, according to our calculator, like you shouldn't be able to afford to live where you are now with the rents you pay and all these things. I'm like, well, we do, and we're still like setting aside like thousands of Norwegian kroner every month towards like down payment and buying a property. And he's like, well, maybe you guys really are the exception to our calculators. So yeah, so that was frustrating. Even if you have the two fun things, and then I'll stop talking about it. I say fun things, the fascinating things, because basically I think it's Yoda has some words of wisdom for me here. I don't know if it's it's one of the older Star Wars. I don't think it was. I don't know if it was. It's not New Hope. I don't know if it was Return of the Jedi, or why am I spacing? That's Return of the Jedi is the 6th. What's the 5th one? I'm spacing right now. Thinking New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Anyhow, when Luke's doing his training with with Yoda, I think Yoda says you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's basically the principle. I mean, if you're going to be an international and move to any other country, like basically that's the premise you should take, and like leave your expectations at wherever home country and your cultural mindsets that trying to, what they say, it's like a sociology term, like don't be ethnocentric. Ethnocentric is like when you judge another's culture's standards by your own culture, if I remember that right. But being more like cultural relativism. So like you're trying to be in more of a position where you're trying to seek and understand and learn the culture and this, that, and the other. So the loaning system, banking system here is complete like 180 to me as an American. It's rather strict, and the financial advisor, this guy Christopher, recognized that, right? So the two fascinating things, I feel like I've just forgot the one. Oh no, one of them was like, so I have a Norwegian credit card, and it's like a 30,000 NOK limit on it, which would be like, I don't know, $2,700 US. And even though it's fully paid off, they hold that against you on your loan. It's like, okay, weird. So basically, if you want that to be gone, like you don't have a Norwegian credit card or lower your limit. The other thing that was really fascinating is I told the guy, I said, hey, as Mrs. Flimsy's business expands, like we're kind of considering, we have like a Toyota Yaris, and we're looking at getting this Toyota RAV4. It's like a mid-compact SUV, and we found one we really like since we just applied for our financial proof with you. I said, kind of like the question you have to learn in Norway, to what I've learned when you talk with Norwegians, just be like, kind of pretend like being a dum-dum, and it's like, pretend I know nothing about this and explain it to me. And then you still have to like know what type of questions you have to ask to get the answers you need. But the problem is when you're learning a new culture and society, like you don't know what questions to ask to get all the answers you might need, which we totally learned with this loaning and house bank system here. But I said, so let's say, as an example, I said, let's say you loaned, I'll just make an example. You loan us, oh shoot, let me do this in US dollars. You would loan us $150,000, right, for a house. Like we've like agreed, we set upon that. And we find a car, we have a car, we trade our car in, and let's say it's a $20,000 loan. Yeah, $20,000 loan is what we're going to take out to get this RAV4, right? And so do you guys hold that like as a 1-for-1 against us? So in how you view the debt, you're like, yeah. So you're no longer able to loan us $150,000. You can only loan us $130,000, right? And he said, no. The way we look at car loans in Norway tend to be the deathbed of getting a home mortgage here in Norway. We hold that car debt against you 3.5 times against you. So you have a $20,000 loan on a car. The bank will look at that and say, oh, that's a $70,000 debt you have. This is what he told us, right? As I was talking with him, made this example. So like I gave the example, let's say it's 1,500,000 Norwegian kroner. You have a loan on a car, it's 200,000 Norwegian kroner. Then he's like, yeah, we'll hold that against you 3.5 times. So then it'd be a $700,000 debt is what we would basically pull out of that loan. And I was like, holy cow. He's like, yeah. So he's like, I would totally encourage you like not to buy another car right now until you at least first get a house. So it's like all these things you have to learn. So maybe it's not till like is I get my permanent residency like in September, maybe it's October. So maybe like November, December we find a place. So yeah, so we're gonna be renting for longer. So enough with that spiel. The other two things will be shorter, hopefully, I promise. So the fourth thing would be my parents. They're coming to Norway. They come to Norway in just over 2 weeks now. My parents, I don't think I really ever talked about them ever on the YouTube channel before, maybe besides maybe just saying if I'm going back, making a trip back to the US and stuff. My parents are awesome. I really love them a lot. Really grateful for them. They are making their first international trip ever. Neither of them have ever been outside the US, even despite the fact my mom worked for the airlines, I think as a ticketing agent, or at the ticket counter for, I think was it for US Airways, I think it was, for years. She flew around in the US but never abroad, and like my dad, like me and him both, like we're basically like hardcore country boys, stuff like that. I'm not as hardcore as I used to be because Norway's having an effect. I don't have my big truck anymore. I live in Norway, drive a Toyota Yaris hybrid. But my parents are coming, and I'm so excited for it. But they've never flown international before, so I'm the one who like booked the tickets for them. Chose the airports, which is hard because where they live at in southern Indiana, there's not really a great airport to fly out from down there. So that means possibility of like a longer layovers, which they have a longer layover, like getting out of Atlanta before going to Amsterdam here to Norway. But they're both pretty nervous. Like my dad, before he gets on the plane, he has to have a shot of bourbon. Like basically, if they could drive to Norway, they would. Like that's the type of people they are. So they're nervous for it, but they're really excited to come and see us, excited to come see Norway. Like we're going to take a small road trip for several days throughout the country. When I say throughout the country, we're going like up to, I think it's called like every time I say it, Norwegians correct me, but I want to say it's like Oda. It's a place that's east of Bergen. And there's some beautiful waterfalls, mountains. There's a Folgafonna National Park. It's got a glacier there and stuff like that. So we're going to take them around there. Then, of course, everywhere around here locally in the county of Rogaland where Stavanger is. Because they love nature. They absolutely love nature. They love Wyoming, like with all their hearts, stuff like that. They like taking trips out there. So I am stoked. They've never been, like I said, they've never traveled internationally before, but they've never been to Norway before. So I'm stoked. So that is totally going to impact the YouTube channel. And that's just over 2 weeks away. So don't expect it to be regular content as I try to do 5 videos a week. But don't expect it to be regular content when my parents are here. They're definitely going to get first priority on a lot of things while they're here. So I'm really excited for that. Really excited. So I can't wait for that. So that's something fun coming soon. And then the fifth thing is to say with World of Warships. I'm getting really close to finishing all the tech tree ship grinds in terms of destroyers, cruisers, and battleships. I have all the tech tree up to tier 10 battleships and cruisers in the game. I'm working on the French destroyer line right now. I'm at the the Vauquelin, the tier 7. And then I think I'm technically at the tier 6 Italian destroyer. I'm saving the Italian destroyer line for last because it just, do you see a lot of high tier Italian destroyers in World of Warships? You probably see more Palio Emilios, right, than you will those. So that line has never inspired me, but I've really pushed off the Club Hero line for really long in the game. So I'm getting really close to finishing that. Then, of course, there'll be the secondary new French destroyer line, which is still in early access. So I'm sitting on tier 6 with that. And then it's just CVs and submarines and super ships after that. Which honestly, I don't even own any super ships. I've played them on public test server, but I can't sink like 40, 50, 60 million credits into those. I think that's just when I can buy multiple, tier 10, tier 9, tier 8 ships for that price, right? I have one tier 10 CV. I have the Midway, and I'm probably a fifth of the way through on Yorktown for Essex. And then I have the Tier 8 Russian CV, and then it'll be Nakhimov, which I'm not as far on the Tier 8 Russian CV as in the Tier 8 American CV Yorktown. And I think the submarines I just have like Tier 6s. I don't have any Tier 8s or 10 submarines, as those just don't really interest me, so I'll probably be free XPing. I know I will be free XPing much more the submarines than I will the CVs, because operations, I've sort of been playing a lot of, most all my CVs. So I'm excited to finish off. I've been playing World of Warships since, almost 5 years. On, I think, 31st of August, I've been 5 years playing World Warships. Not every single day, but, enough to be a regular player in the game who understands a lot of the mechanics and classes and ships in the game, right? But the first super ship I'll probably go for might be the Jacksonville of the tier, following the American light cruiser line, because those videos of that ship look like awesome. So it's either going to be that or the Annapolis. Those are the two super ships I think I first would want to pick up in the game. So that's where I'm at with World of Warships. So basically, I say that for the fact that and I had to regrind the Shimakaze line because I had like 7 stacks of research bureau points resets set on that line. And that's how I just got the Polyomelial, and then I got the Petropavlovsk unique upgrade, as you just saw in a video, I think a week or two ago. But then I'll be doing a lot, once I finish off the Kleber line and I go up the tier, the Italian destroyer line, you're going to start seeing me do a lot more polls like I used to, with getting like, hey, what ship do you want me to feature this upcoming Friday, Saturday, and the Friday highlight, and then Saturday upgrade commander build. And then usually whoever scores second comes in second place. I'll feature that ship the following week. Because I've just had to invest so much in-game resources, credits, free XP, Elite Commander XP, boosters, economic boosters, to grinding all these lines, because I've had it as a goal that I want to grind as many ships as possible for the upcoming World of Warships anniversary. I'm trying to remember what year anniversary is coming up in the game. And then, of course, for the Christmas snowflakes at the end of the year. So, that is basically the lunch line episode today in a nutshell. So I probably ranted on a lot more about the Norway banking system. And I am critical of the Norway banking system to an extent. Like, there's a lot of things I disagree with. But I also appreciate, I understand, that the way they have the Norwegian banking system set up the way it is that it prevents people from going into debt, and it's for the consumer's mindset, right? Even though I think it's too strict with the regulations and stuff, but there's a lot of security because you don't have a lot of people defaulting on like loans here, car loans, home loans, like you do in the U.S. Like, you just in general feel quite safe. So it's quote unquote the system. I'm supposed to insert socialism here. Into taking care of you and providing, which honestly, there are a lot of areas of Norway in general, like I really love and enjoy, and a lot of things I appreciate, especially when it comes to the system here. It's a lot easier to govern a country of 5.5 million people than 340 million people, like in the U.S. So whenever I have Norwegians like, hey, how do you compare the U.S. to Norway? I'm like, no. Like, you have to compare a state to Norway, because, again, 5.5 million people is way easier to govern and manage in many areas than it is for the entirety of the U.S. When you go through all these different regions throughout the U.S., like, there's certain things culturally I can say in Indiana, but I will be frowned upon if I say it in New York. And I can't say the same things I might say in New York down in Florida, because people won't like what you have to say there in Florida. I can go from Florida to California, and there's certain things I can't say there. I can go from California to Texas, and there'll be certain things that I shouldn't say there, right? So you have these like regions in the U.S. that are really diverse and different. And some states have very similar cultures in the geographic region that like are adjoining. But in terms of the culture, like the U.S. is just so diverse with so many different people groups, ethnic groups. Yeah, and on the history that influences each of those. Like New York was like built off the back of immigrants, right? So like it tends to be very friendly to internationals there, right? And so like and part of the work I do is very international oriented with international peoples, and so like that's really cool that you value that. But if you're from like the Midwest, where like growing up, like I had no international friends. Very few people of different skin colors where I grew up at. It's completely just diverse. It's just so random, bizarre, different. So, yeah. Anyhow, I'm making the video longer than I need to. But basically, just to say, yes, there are many things I don't think I like about the Norwegian banking loan system because I think it's just too strict. But at the same time, I understand why they have their certain systems and things in place because they clamped down pretty hardcore after the housing market bubble burst back in 2008. I'm learning, right? It's one thing to be frustrated about the things you encounter in life that are really obstacles and challenge. And you can be frustrated and you can live in that frustration. Or you can say, hey, this is something new in my life, something I don't know about. I want to learn, right? To me, like, it's better to come from a perspective of like, let me ask questions and understand rather than just being in the frustration and anger. And that's helped me a lot in life, especially with my work. And this, a lot of areas in my life. And being curious and learning, especially about different cultures and different government regulations and, this, that, and the other. So that being said, I'm going to cut the video now. So if you liked today's video, give a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you subscribe, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. And until next time, take care.